Hi there, this is John Drew here from Elevated Planet.
And Jolie Gabrielle, and we'd like to welcome you to today's live. And John is going to tell us a little bit more about it.
Yes, thank you, Jolie. We're not quite as live as we normally are, but we're kind of doing it live ourselves here, you know. But what we've got today for you is a little bit more God talk from Neil Donald Walsh's Conversations with God trilogy series, which is brilliant. We've already featured something just about 3 weeks ago, and now is the time for the next episode, really, of that. And we're going to start off with that first video now. So I'm just going to dive straight in and take you to a little bit of Conversations with God from Neil. So just bear with me a second.
Will it take a worldwide calamity? A disaster of gargantuan proportions, as some have suggested? Must the Earth tilt on its axis, be hit by a meteor, swallow its continents whole before its people will listen? Must we be visited by beings from outer space, or scared out of our minds, before having sufficient sight to realize that we are all one? Is it required that we all face the threat of death before we can be galvanized to find a new way to live?
Such drastic events are not necessary, but could occur.
Will they occur?
Do you imagine that the future is predictable, even by God? I tell you this, your future is creatable. Create it as you want.
But earlier, you said that in the true nature of time there is no future, that all things are happening in the instant moment, the forever moment of now.
That is true.
Well, are there earthquakes and floods and meteors hitting the planet right now, or aren't there? Don't tell me that as God you don't know.
Do you want these things to happen?
Of course not. But you said everything that's going to happen already has happened, is happening now.
That is true. But the eternal moment of now is also forever changing. It is like a mosaic, one that is always there but constantly shifting.
You can't blink because it'll be different when you open your eyes. Watch, look.
See? There it goes again. I am
constantly
constantly changing.
What makes you change?
Your idea about me. Your thought about all of it is what makes it change instantly. Sometimes the change in the all is subtle, virtually indiscernible, depending on the power of the thought. But when there is an intense thought or a collective thought, then there is tremendous impact, incredible effect. Everything changes.
So will there be the kind of major earth-wide calamity you speak of?
I don't know. Will there? You decide. Remember, you are choosing your reality now.
I choose for it not to happen.
Then it will not happen, unless it does.
Oh, here we go again.
Yes, you must learn to live within the contradiction, and you must understand the greatest truth. Nothing matters.
Nothing matters?
I'll explain that another time.
Well, okay, but I don't like to have to wait on these things.
There's so much here for you to absorb already. Give yourself some time. Give yourself some space.
Oh, can we not leave yet? I sense you're leaving. You always start talking like that when you're getting ready to leave. I'd like to talk about a few other things, such as, for instance, beings from outer space. Are there such things?
You want to know if there's intelligent life elsewhere in the universe? Yes, of course.
Is it as primitive as ours?
Some of the life forms are more primitive, some less so, and some are far more advanced.
Have we been visited by extraterrestrial beings?
Yes, many times.
For what purpose?
To inquire, in some cases to gently assist.
How do they assist?
Oh, they give a boost now and then. For instance, surely you're aware that you've made more technological progress in the past 75 years than in all of human history before that.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Do you imagine that everything from CAT scans to supersonic flight to computer chips you embed in your body to regulate your heart all came from the mind of man?
Well, yes.
Well, then why didn't man think them up thousands of years before now?
Well, I don't know. The technology wasn't available, I guess. I mean, one thing leads to another, after all, but the beginning technology wasn't there until it was. It's all a process of evolution.
You don't find it strange that in this billion-year process of evolution, somewhere around 75 to 100 years ago, there was a huge comprehension explosion? You don't see it as outside the pattern, That many people now on the planet have seen the development of everything from radio to radar to radionics in their lifetime? You don't get that what has happened here represents a quantum leap? A step forward of such magnitude and such proportion as to defy any progression of logic?
What are you saying?
I'm saying consider the possibility you've been helped.
If we're being helped technologically, why aren't we being helped spiritually? Why aren't we being given some assistance with this consciousness shift?
You are.
We are?
What do you think this program is?
Hmm.
In addition, every day, new ideas, new thoughts, new concepts are being placed in front of you. The process of shifting the consciousness, increasing the spiritual awareness of an entire planet is a slow process. It takes time and great patience, lifetimes, generations. Yet, slowly you're coming around. Gently you're shifting. Quietly. There's change.
And you're telling me that beings from outer space are helping us with that?
Indeed. They're among you now, many of them. They've been helping for years.
Then why don't they make themselves known, reveal themselves? Wouldn't that render their impact twice as great?
Their purpose is to assist in the change they see that most of you desire, not create it.
To foster, not force. Were they to reveal themselves, you would be forced, by the sheer power of their presence, to accord them great honor and give their words great weight. It is preferred that the mass of people come to their own wisdom. Wisdom which comes from within is not nearly so easily discarded as wisdom which comes from another. You tend to hang on a lot longer to that which you've created than to that which you've been told.
Will we ever see them? Ever come to know these extraterrestrial visitors as who they really are?
Oh, yes. The time will come when your consciousness will rise and your fear will subside, and then they will reveal themselves to you. Some of them have already done so, with a handful of people.
What about the theory, now becoming more and more popular, that these beings are actually malevolent? Are there some who mean us harm?
Are there some human beings who mean you harm?
Well, yes, of course.
Some of these beings, the lesser evolved, may be judged by you in the same way. Yet remember my injunction, judge not. No one does anything inappropriate given one's model of the universe. Some beings have advanced in their technology, but not in their thinking. Your race is rather like that.
But if these malevolent beings are so technologically advanced, surely they could destroy us. What's to stop them?
You are being protected.
We are?
Yes. You are being given the opportunity to live out your own destiny. Your own consciousness will create the result.
Which means?
Which means that in this, as in all things, what you think is what you get. What you fear is what you will draw to you. What you resist persists. What you look at disappears, giving you a chance to recreate it all over again, if you wish, or banish it forever from your experience. What you choose, you experience.
Somehow it doesn't seem that way in my life.
Because you doubt the power, you doubt me.
Probably not a good idea.
Definitely not.
Why do people doubt you?
Because they doubt themselves.
Why do they doubt themselves?
Because they've been told to, taught to.
By whom?
People who claim to be representing me.
I don't get it. Why?
Because it was a way, is the only way to control people. You must doubt yourself, you see, or you would claim all your power. That would not do. That would not do at all. Not for the people who currently hold the power. They are holding the power which is yours, and they know it. And the only way to hold on to it is to stave off the world's movement toward seeing, and then solving, the two biggest problems in the human experience.
Which are?
Well, I've discussed them over and over again. To summarize, then, most, if not all, of the world's problems and conflicts, and of your problems and conflicts as individuals, would be solved and resolved if you would, as a society, abandon the concept of separation Adopt the concept of visibility. Never see yourself again as separate from one another, and never see yourself as separate from me. Never tell anything but the whole truth to anyone, and never again accept anything less than your grandest truth about me. The first choice will produce the second. For when you see and understand that you are one with everyone, you cannot tell an untruth, or withhold important data, or be anything but totally visible with all others, because you will be clear that it is in your own best interests to do so. But this paradigm shift will take great wisdom, great courage, and massive determination. For fear will strike at the heart of these concepts and call them false. Fear will eat at the core of these magnificent truths and make them appear hollow. Fear will distort, disdain, destroy, and so fear will be your greatest enemy.
Okay. Thank you, God. And thank you, Neil Donald Walsh, for your input here. I do find this stuff really fascinating, I have to say. So our future is creatable through our thoughts, is part of what has been said. So, you know, the bottom line is we talked about this over the last few weeks, and honestly, there is so much evidence that thoughts are things, that thoughts create material reality. So the bottom line is, if our thoughts do create things, then let's stop and think very good thoughts, because we don't want to go down the other side of that particular equation. And then the point again, collective thoughts have a tremendous impact. That brings us back to unspeakable beauty, because if we collectively get together and decide what unspeakable beauty looks like, and we all focus our attention, our thoughts on that, then, you know, we can do this. In fact, Pam Gregory, who we featured on the show about 4 or 5 weeks ago, she started doing now a 15-minute meditation on Sundays at 7 p.m. UK time. And apparently one of the psychics over in the US was saying how much light those meditations create. She, you know, somebody who's sensitive to those energies was saying it's remarkable. So, you know, we're going to go down this same route, and we're going to create this unspeakable beauty. So I'm really looking forward to that. Now, the other points about the alien life, you know, I mean, it would almost seem naive to assume that alien life isn't out there when we think about the size of the universe, the expansion of the universe, the number of planets, the billions of planets. The chances of us being here alone are pretty remote, I would say. But highly advanced beings are here to help humanity. That is the bottom line. And they have been helping. They've been very active. This, what was described as the comprehension explosion of the last century, is testament to this. And I do understand that the way that ideas come through to mankind is that effectively these thoughts get put out into the ether. And it's our job with our antennae and our radar to pick up those thoughts and turn them into ideas that we feel that we've had them for ourselves, but in reality, we've been fed them. So you can imagine this is how the comprehension explosion, how things that we, even 30 years ago, if we look at, you know, the way that phones have expanded in terms of their, you know, the ability for me to put a video call to my daughter in actual real time over in Los Angeles from the UK, and it's free, and we can see each other, and she can be walking down the street and I can be here. And a few years ago that would have been regarded as impossible. So if we can think about how we've turned the impossible into the possible already, you can imagine how, as we go through this rising of consciousness, how new miracles are coming our way. And I'm convinced that they are. And also interesting is, you know, we are surrounded by alien beings. You know, they're here to help us. Some of whom we don't see them because they are in a higher dimension. Some of whom have been born into human form, as we know with Sheila Seppi, who we interviewed like about a year and a half ago, who's a walk-in soul. this stuff really does exist. And I know it's certainly not mainstream. I know we've not been encouraged to think of it in this way, but we are going to find out. And yes, we will get to see them for ourselves, but it'll take a little while because, again, as was explained, the point is not to interfere. The point is for humanity to find its own course. So that is the important thing. But as our consciousness rises, then we do get to meet them, and we'll learn an awful lot, that's for sure. And I'm looking forward to that day. We're also being protected from less advanced beings, alien beings, and who would do harm to us. And again, it's realistic to say that not every type of beings in the universe is benevolent, but any of the highly evolved beings are, because you cannot be highly evolved and aggressive and violent. The two things just do not go together. So as we ascend from, say, a third dimensional level to a fifth dimensional level, that's why that ascension in our consciousness takes us into the ascending part of the emotional spiral, which is joy, it's love, it's laughter, it's happiness, it's community, it's compassion, kindness, it's all those things. And you leave behind all the fear-based types of the descending part of the emotional spiral, which are the fear and hatred, anger, division. But to do that, we have to get through this time where we're being encouraged into that fear, which is, as was said, fear is our greatest enemy, and we conquer it through wisdom and courage, abandoning the concept of separation in order to evolve. So I think that's really important. And then there's a slightly controversial thing that we're told by God, which is that religion's relationship to God, and that it is a control thing. By keeping humanity small, then religion takes control. But it's not just about religion. It's about a whole other gamut of control agencies out there, if you like, which I think this is due to come to light over this next period of time. We're going to start to see this happen more and more, where these things are uncovered, the untruths are uncovered, and we get to see it for what it is. So anyway, that's my take on that. Jolie, what would you care to add on that?
Yes, I think that Neil Donald Walsh is on to something. I really would like to bear down and dig into the fact that we are creators, and that is, to me, the most important thing to remember. If you remember nothing else, is that you create your environment and your energy, but it takes practice, and it takes the connecting with other people to sort of create this critical mass of energy that will create the unspeakable beauty. And that way, when that starts turning, it's amazing what can happen. And we talk about love a lot, but I really like to talk about joy, because that right there really takes those walls down when we start to experience joy and connection with each other. And so these principles have been honored throughout time and time again. So it's like, just we just want to continue to remind everyone to just stay with loving yourself, loving your environment, and looking for the lesson in each of the challenges that present themselves to you. Take the lesson, move forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Exciting times ahead. I am excited for this because, I know that we are going to create a community here that is going to be able to create that group consciousness that really does create the unspeakable beauty we're looking for. And it is exciting. I know there's going to be a lot of darkness out there, but again, we're not going to get drawn into that sideshow. We will see it for what it is, and we will know that we can certainly find our own way to the light through that particular whatever is about to unfold, and we will find out before too long, that's for sure. Okay, so next up we have Anita Moorjani. Anita, you may remember from a few months ago. We've featured her work a few times over these last few months. But Anita, back in, I think it was 2002, died basically from cancer. And she was riddled with cancer throughout her body, and her vital organs had given up on her. And basically, she slipped into a coma from which the doctors knew she would never recover. And she died. She went over the other side. And she was, honestly, when you went down the list of things that she had going on at that particular point in time. The open wounds on her skin and the number of tumors she had around her body, and the fact that she was only weighing a fraction of what a normal adult would weigh by that time, because it had really eaten her away at her. So when she was on the other side, it was the experience that she had, and then she came back, and it was a remarkable experience for her. But ever since then, she has been able to educate mankind on what this is really all about, and it is fascinating. And 5 weeks from coming out of that coma, she went from being cancer-free without any treatment, walking out the hospital, and has been totally healthy ever since. So it shows that miracles do occur. And maybe when we understand miracles a little bit better, they'll occur even more frequently. So anyway, Anita, I'll let you take center stage. Bear with me a second.
I used to live a very fear-based life. And one of the things I noticed is that we're constantly being fed fear here in this physical world. Our mainstream media, our religions, even our education system, our medical system, they're always feeding us fear-based messages. So we go around living these lives in fear, in a state of fear all the time. It was only in death did I realize that I had nothing to fear. Because what is the worst thing that can possibly happen to you? The worst thing is that you can die. And what if you find out that death is actually quite beautiful? It's not that bad at all. And then when you get a chance to come back, which is what happened to me, I got this chance to come back into my body. I realized that nothing in life is really scary when you realize the worst case scenario is death. When you realize who you really are, like your spirit, your soul has come here on a mission, your soul is protected in so many ways. Your soul, once you get in touch with your soul, this is what I really love to speak about is, I really love to talk about the other side and how to connect with our soul so that we can understand what is our purpose here. And we can understand that we actually have nothing to fear. So the reason why we fear so much is because we actually buy into all this fear-based messages, all the fear-based information that is being fed to us here. But if we can tune out these fear-based messages and tune in to who we really are, our souls, our higher self, even our deceased loved ones on the other side, if we can tune into that, that's when we start to lose our fear of not only death, but we lose our fear in life. We fear things like disapproval, and so we make our decisions from a place of fear. We fear things like not being good enough. We fear things like not having enough money, being alone, all these kinds of things. But one of the things that we don't realize is that we have far more autonomy or control over our lives than we have ever been led to believe. And when you realize that actually I have a choice, I have the choice of not being lonely, I have the choice of not needing disapproval, I have the choice of going after the job I want. And so we have a lot more choices than we believe. And when you realize that, you start to lose your fear. But what keeps you in fear is this belief that there is something outside of you that controls you, and that keeps you in this mentality of being a victim to your circumstances. You are not actually the victim to your circumstances the way you believe you are. There may be certain things you've had no control over. You may feel, I have no control over what happened in my past. Maybe you were abused. Maybe you were born to in an awful family, or you were born with no money and born into poverty. There are a lot of things that happened in your past that you don't have any conscious control of. Maybe you chose them previously, but you didn't consciously choose them now. However, you have so much control over how you are going to shape your future. And the way to shape your future is by starting to let go of the fear of life, the fear of your past, the fear of death, the fear of religion, all these fears. Focus on what it is that you are trying to achieve or attain. Don't focus on the fear of not completing it. One of the things that I really believe and what I learned on the other side is that we need to focus on living a full life. And even if you have to use your imagination to imagine, what will it look like? What does my life look like if I attained that, if I achieved that purpose I came here for? What would my life look like? If I could live whatever life that I wanted that feels like it would completely fulfill my desire, what would it look like? And that's what we need to focus on. One of the problems that we have, or the reason we run into problems, is when we live our lives from this place of fear, of always fearing that worst case scenario. I know sometimes we have to look at a worst case scenario just to see what is the worst problem that we can possibly have. But then I always invite people to then flick your mind, your imagination into, now what is the best case scenario? And what is the outcome you actually want in this situation? And now start focusing on that outcome and start living your life as though you already have that outcome. So let me give you an example. Let's say you're dealing with an illness. What I would say when somebody is constantly afraid of the illness that their body is going through, and they're like, oh my God, my doctor told me this, I have a really dire prognosis and he said I'm going to die and blah, blah, blah. And so first of all, I say, if you have a doctor that tells you you're going to die, please leave that doctor and find another one and get another opinion. A doctor cannot tell you when you're going to die, and it's dangerous because they're planting thoughts in your mind. So, but what I would ask you to do, though, is that if you are scared of your illness, I would say to you, tell me what your life would look like if you had 100% clean bill of health. If you were told today by your doctor that you are free of all disease, you have your life ahead of you, you have 100% clean bill of health, what are you going to do with the rest of your life? And I want you to figure out, what would you do with that information? How would you celebrate? How do you want to live the rest of your life? What do you want to do to make the best use of your life? You don't want to go back to being the person you were before, because that was the person that got the illness in the first place. Who you were is what was making you sick. So now you got this clean bill of health. What do you want to do? And as you use your imagination to come up with what you want to do with your life, you need to start doing it even though your body is still physically dealing with the illness. Because what that does is, as you live out that life as though you have the clean bill of health, you're starting to train your cells to live that way. You're training your mind to think that way. You're training your energy to operate that way. And eventually your physical body will start to follow and emulate that. These are the secrets I learned in the afterlife. What is really important is your energy. It's not about what's going on in your physical body. Your physical body is a reflection of where you are at energetically in terms of, have I got community? Am I following my passion? And so on and on. The more that you live in fear, the more you are actually cutting yourself off from the truth of the afterlife, the truth of what I learned. So on the other side, you have your soul that resides not only here through your body, but also continues on beyond this physical life. And you also have your guides and your deceased loved ones, and they're trying to guide you and speak with you all the time. But the lower your frequency, the smaller your energy, the harder it is for them to communicate with you. So the more you live in fear, the harder it is to receive those messages from them. And please remember not to take on board all these fear-based messages. Get quiet, get into nature, listen to music, and start to tune in to the voices of the other side.
Thank you, Anita. Again, really consistent messaging here, because, you know, the last thing that we heard from Neale Donald Walsch from the God side of things was that fear is our greatest enemy. And here we are now. Anita acknowledges that the reason she went through her cancer, the reason that her body was riddled with cancer and lesions and all sorts of things, was down to fear. She had lived a very fearful life, and that was how her upbringing had taught her that being fearful was something that she needed to do. But it really did not serve her at all. And it took her journey over to the other side to realize the truth of what is going on here. So, you know, the diet of fear from the mainstream media, from religion, from education, from our medical systems is ongoing. You know, it's there for us to consume every single day, should we choose to. But the bottom line is that I really do believe there really is nothing to fear. Because if physical death itself is a beautiful experience, and Anita herself literally knows just how much fun it is, then, you know, what is there to fear? If death is the worst thing that can happen to you, and death is a beautiful experience, we've heard that from from the first episode we did here, from the Conversations with God, from God himself, who said exactly the same thing. He said that the most magnificent experience you will ever have in your life is the moment that you die. You know, so again, consistency throughout these, whoever we're talking to, whether it's you know, Greg Braden's or Bruce Lipton's, or, you know, any of these other luminaries that we speak of and about on a regular basis, the messaging is very, very much the same. So connecting with your soul aspect is important, and because it helps you to understand who you really are and who we really are. And this is again where Jole's skills come into it, because when she helps us with the meditation side of things, she's helping us to go within, because we have so much power within. Again, our westernized version of reality tells us that all the wisdom is outside of us. And the reality is, no, it's all sitting here. It's sitting here within our mind, body, and spirit, because we're a three-part being. And the spirit goes outside of our body. We have our higher self. We have a team that is here. I have Team John Drew. I got my 50 trillion cells of physical body, but I have Team John Drew that is there with me constantly. It's interesting. Once you start to tap into this and you see the reality of it, it is quite remarkable. So, you know, I see an awful lot of truth in that. Realize that we have so much more control than we've been encouraged to believe is also what Anita said. And again, that is true. It's all part of our misaligned programming and conditioning that has kept us smaller than we are about to discover that we truly are. But just know that. And then Anita said, focus on what you want, your highest outcome, and treat it as if you already have it. Live it, feel it through those five senses. Again, we've spoken about this through Greg Braden in recent times, and also Jole's meditations, which took us to that point as well. So focus not on what you don't want, but on your highest outcome, and, you know, just get those senses feeling like it's already there. Again, best done through meditation, because that gives you the stillness and the quiet to enable to tap into that. Understand that your physical body is a reflection of your emotional energy. So when you're feeling good, it's because your emotional energy is strong. If you are struggling with illnesses of various descriptions, then quite often it's because your emotional energy is out of alignment, and this is how it manifests within your body. Again, coming back to meditation, Joel has helped us to conquer that in the past as well. But understanding this is not, again, second nature from a westernized cultural perspective. But again, this is all part of the changes that are going on now. Understanding that raising the frequency of our emotions overcomes health issues. That's exactly what happened to Anita. She came back and she just knew that she was going to recover. She didn't doubt it for a moment. She just knew she was going to recover. It took 5 weeks to go from a body riddled with cancer and lesions to being cancer free. So if you think about how powerful that is, then it's all the encouragement we could ever need. And then she says at the end, the best way to tune in is to get quiet, go into nature, listen to music, relax, tune into spirit, and listen to the messages that are coming through to you from your team in spirit. And, you know, Jolie, I'll bring you in at this point because that's where you help us an awful lot.
Yes, I'm really grateful to be able to help too. It's actually a privilege and an honor. But one of the things that she spoke about in depth was fear, right? And you touched on that, John, and how fear is disease. And some have even created the acronym of false evidence appearing real, right? And so when we dig deep into where fear resides in the body, it mostly is when that first chakra is out of alignment, right? So when our safety, security, and financial prosperity, she mentioned those things, are we feel in jeopardy or we fear that they're not up to par, is when we notice things happening in our lives, right? And this is manifested as lower back pain, issues around the hips, anything going on in the lower body, the knees, the feet. We know we're having issues around our first chakra and fear. And fear really immobilizes the cells, and the cells aren't able to engage in a way in which they can continue to remain optimally healthy. So fear is very much so disease and illness causing. So how do we let go of fear? One of the ways to let go of that is, like she talked about, nature. You hear it often, grounding, because Mother Earth is there to take all of your emotional issues. You can go out in nature and scream as loud as you want to and disturb nothing and no one, really, because there's birds chirpings and animals talking, and get as primal as you need to let go of that fear and really work around that first chakra area. You can work with Om is a very good way to move that energy to speed up the process of moving those healthy cells throughout your body. Grounding, putting your feet, going in nature. You can also use color therapy. Red is a good color for this chakra, working with crystals. So there's things that you can do to begin to let go of this fear in a way that may not just be like, I'm thinking about, okay, let me let go of fear. No, sometimes, hey, have your crystal with you. You know what I mean? Have a little book that you can read, a journal. Notice when you're going into that fear-based state, and take a minute and do a deep breathing. So see, we have a skill set that can help us with what Anita has talked about, because like she said, we have way more power and autonomy than we realize. And this is how we begin to take hold of it. Now, chakras and working in that modality is just one way. There are so many others that you can seek out. And in conclusion, I just want you to look at it like this. You have a vacuum cleaner, you have all these electronic um, things around you that you use to work with. And your body is sort of similar in that, in order for you to plug in and connect and get powered up, everything that's going on inside of that electronic device has to be working and aligned, correct? Or you can be putting it in the wall or charging it. It isn't going to work. So it's the same way with you. You want to connect with the creator. You want to connect with the divine. You want to connect with other people. You've got to make sure that what's going on here, or you benefit, I should say, by making sure what's going on here is aligned, right? So that you better connect.
Brilliant. Which sounds to me like a very good theme for a meditation. You think that's a good theme for a meditation?
I get the sense and a spiritual hit that, really learning how to release fear in real time would be a great meditation. that you could take with you and use it anywhere. And a lot of these meditations you can use with your eyes open or closed. So you're sitting in a meeting, right? And you can ground your energy, pull your aura in, and wherever, okay, he's talking and, oh God, I think he means me. Where are you feeling it in your body? Oh, I feel it in my hips and my knees. You turn that a color and you send it down the grounding cord and you fill up with gold light. So we're going to go through a meditation that does that. And it's going to be simple, easy, and clean.
Very cool. Very cool. And talking about cool, that sounds to me like we need some water backdrop for that.
Yes.
Some a bit more of that going with the flow kind of thing. So I'm going to get that set up for us, and I will leave you to work your magic, Jolie.
Okay, as always, I'd like for you to please begin by paying attention to the rhythm in which your body breathes, and allow for it to gently and easily breathe in a rhythm that is comfortable for you. And make sure your feet are flat on the floor and your palms are face up on your thighs. For those of you laying down, please keep your feet flat for the beginning part of the meditation. As you breathe with the rhythm of your body, command your heartbeat to sync up with your breath. And now we're going to pull our aura in. It's yours. Command your aura. Say, aura, I command you to be 1.5 feet around me. 18 inches to the front and the back, to the right and the left, and the top and the bottom. Call your higher self above you to sit a comfortable distance above your head. And bring your awareness to between your sit bones and ground your energy with the beautiful grounding cord of a natural earth element. Mine, I love a tunnel of fire for productivity, activity, movement, creation, and it burns up any negativity. And it also burns through the confusion. But for those of you who would like healing, you can bring in the blue, green energy for calming, healing, yellow for that personal power, beam of light, tunnel of water, tree trunk. Make sure it's 6 inches in diameter, and blanket with golden rose-shaped scrubbing bubbles, the inside and the outside of this grounding cord, all the way down to the roots. As you allow for this energy, these beautiful golden rose-shaped scrubbing bubbles, to massage away any disease, any illness, anything you're ready to let go of and release, while simultaneously there's a gold sun above your head, being filled up with all the energy of optimal health, grounding, and trusting not only in yourself, but that the universe has your back. And then as we open the crown like we would the lens of a camera, we bring this golden sun down as it is magnetized to the grounding cord. And as it begins to cascade down the inside and the outside of the grounding cord, this golden sun you just brought through your body, those golden rose-shaped scrubbing bubbles fall away into Mother Earth, turning into positive, creative life force energy for anyone to use. Now take this visualization all the way to the very tips of those roots that are grounded and rooted into the core of Mother Earth's nurturing, loving energy. Take a deep breath in, exhale, and know that your grounding cord and you have been brought into the present moment. And now, bring your awareness to between your sit bones and command that all the fear in your body turn itself a bright red color. And as you locate and identify the fear, Simultaneously, a golden sun is being placed above your head, being filled with joy, self-love, confidence, grounding, and all of the things that represent courage and a lack of fear. Whatever it is that you are looking to achieve, put that in that golden sun. As you command for all of that fear to wherever it resides to be flushed out of your body, down your grounding cord, into Mother Earth, as that golden sun comes down into your crown, and it's magnetized to all those spaces and places where you just removed and resolved that fear. See that gold light expand and extend in those areas, giving you a new attitude, new health and wellness, new perspective, filling you up with new energy, healthy cells, healthy energy. Take a deep breath in and exhale as you bring your awareness to your heart chakra and sit here, sending out love into the universe, and know that your soul architecture is now put back in place so that when you go to connect with the divine or with someone else, you are fully and holistically, authentically you. Take a deep breath in and exhale. And when you are ready, you can open your eyes.
Beautiful. I love the fact that we're bringing joy back in again, remitting the fear, getting rid of the fear and bringing in the joy. So,
Yes.
thank you. Wonderful. Okay. Well, you know, this is now going to be, as of this week, this is going to be part of the newsletter anyway, so I don't need to give you any updates on that, other than if you are watching this on YouTube and you wish to be part of our distribution list, please just drop me an email at johndrew@elevatedplanet.life, and we would be delighted to welcome you to our community and to be able to send you our weekly email, which includes links to a bunch of videos and really useful information. So, okay. Any final comments, Jolie?
Just to remember that fear is not anything that is real. And when you're in a fear-based moment, the best thing to do is to look for the lesson and the solution instead of wallowing in the fear from a reality-based space. But purge that fear out of you and fill up with newness and clarity and move forward.
Very good point. Very good point, because these often it does come through lessons and things that we're supposed to learn and move forward. So yeah, absolutely love that. Thank you, Jolie. And thank you to our Elevated Planet community. And we look forward to seeing you again at our next live performance, which will be on Sunday. What will it be? Sunday, the 24th of March. So
Yes.
till then, love and light to all. Thank you.
Bye-bye.